World War II's water finder trick was the genius soldier method to locate clean water anywhere on Earth. It wasn't a fancy gadget, not a military secret stamped with classified ink, yet it saved more lives than most weapons ever did. Picture men crawling through deserts, jungles, and shattered cities, their canteens bone dry, the air boiling, their throats cracking like broken glass. And then, one simple trick passed from an old field scout to a desperate platoon. Suddenly, water, clear, drinkable, life-saving. This was the forgotten soldier skill that turned survival into an art during World War II, the water-finding instinct. Every war has its weapons, but, few talk about the war against thirst. In World War II, armies didn't just fight bullets and bombs, they fought dehydration. Soldiers in the North African desert could lose up to 3 liters of water a day under the scorching sun. Jungle fighters in the Pacific sweated more than they drank, and many died not from gunfire, but from bad water, polluted, salty, or full of disease. Clean water was survival currency. And when supply lines were cut or wells destroyed, soldiers had to rely on one thing: knowledge. That's when the old-school trick of water finding became the difference between life and death. Before modern filters and fancy gear, the best tool a soldier had was his senses, and a bit of earth wisdom. Troops learned from local guides, indigenous scouts, and survival instructors how to read the land. This wasn't guesswork. It was pattern recognition, the kind that came from watching nature. The key was understanding that water always reveals itself, even when it's hiding. A dry riverbed? It might still hold a trickle beneath the sand. A certain type of plant growing in clusters? A clue. Animal tracks converging in one direction? Confirmation. The best soldiers learned to see these signs like a secret map drawn on the ground. One legendary British desert unit, the Long Range Desert Group, used this exact skill while crossing the Sahara. They carried just enough water to last days, but when it ran low, they found hidden seeps and shallow underground reserves using nothing more than observation and technique. Their survival depended on it. Here's how the trick worked. Soldiers were taught to look for nature's giveaways. Vegetation was the first sign. Green means water, but not all green is equal. Plants like reeds, willows, or palms never stray far from a water source. If the land around them was dry, that meant underground moisture was close. Birds were the second clue. In the desert, birds like pigeons and doves never travel far from water. Soldiers would study their flight patterns at dawn or dusk. If they were heading in a straight line toward the horizon, it often meant a watering hole or a seep lay that way. And then there were insects, nature's tiny GPS. Mosquitoes, for example, don't venture far from still water. If a soldier saw a few buzzing in the twilight, he knew to start digging nearby. The technique was so effective that some units could locate drinkable water where scientists later confirmed underground streams existed. They weren't guessing. They were decoding nature's survival manual. Once a likely spot was found, the process began. Soldiers carried small entrenching tools, or even used their hands. They'd dig in the lowest point of a dry stream bed, often near the bends where water naturally slows and sinks into the sand. The hole didn't have to be deep, sometimes just a foot or two. Then they'd wait. Slowly, clear water would begin to seep through the soil. It wasn't fast, but it was pure enough to drink after straining. This wasn't just a trick. It was a field-tested method. Survival manuals printed during the war even taught this technique, and soldiers swore by it. Some troops took it further, using their shirts or bandages as makeshift filters, or even creating solar stills. By digging a pit, placing a cup in the center, and covering it with a poncho or plastic sheet weighted in the middle, they could capture condensation as water evaporated and dripped back down. Simple science, ancient technique, pure survival genius. What's remarkable is that this knowledge didn't fade with the end of the war. Many post-war survival schools and modern military training programs still teach these same principles, because no matter how advanced technology gets, nature still holds the original answers. In fact, these techniques remain crucial for explorers, off-grid adventurers, and even disaster responders today. When the power's out and your tap's dry, the ability to find natural water could literally save your life. And here's the wild truth. Many of these methods are so effective they outperform modern gear in harsh conditions. Soldiers found water in places where drilling teams later confirmed aquifers. Not magic, just mastery of the environment. The real power of this World War II trick isn't just in finding water, it's in the mindset it builds. It teaches observation, patience, and, a quiet respect for the land. It reminds us that survival isn't about brute strength. It's about awareness. Soldiers who could read the earth like a living map weren't just staying alive. They were thriving where others failed. They became legends of fieldcraft, able to cross deserts, jungles, and ruined cities without a drop wasted. There's something profoundly human about that. It's a skill older than war, older than civilization itself. The soldiers of World War II just brought it back into focus. In a world that runs on bottled water and filtered taps, this ancient soldier wisdom feels like a superpower. Because when everything fails, when the grid goes dark, when the rivers run muddy, when the store shelves are bare, the earth still whispers where her water sleeps. That's the real secret those soldiers knew. The planet is generous, but only to those who pay attention. So the next time you see a cluster of green in a dry field or birds circling low before sunset, remember, you're seeing the same signs the soldiers of World War II followed to stay alive. This isn't just history. It's living knowledge. A survival code written in the land itself, rediscovered by the soldiers who had no choice but to listen. If you want more forgotten survival wisdom like this, the real lessons from the front lines that modern prepping can't teach, hit that subscribe button and share this story with someone who values old-world intelligence. Because wisdom from the front lines isn't just about the past. It's about the timeless tricks that can still save lives today.